there's no question that, yeah, he's the best Kings captain by far.
This is LA Kings Fan Talk with your boys, Rodney, Rob, Darren, and Joe.
What's up, Kings fans? Welcome to our playoff preview show. You heard that right. After a 3-year hiatus, the Kings are back in the playoffs. Darren, what were your first thoughts when the Kings finally clinched the playoff spot?
I was super happy. I mean, I didn't think they were going to be there at the start of the season. I thought we were going to be close, but the fact that we were able to and I think, we didn't get to quite have the satisfaction of doing it ourselves, but the fact that we went out still and just won 5 of our last 6, like it wasn't on. We did what we needed to. It didn't matter what Vegas did. So I think that also helps the like satisfaction of it. So it was a nice feeling. So after a long hiatus, like you said.
Well, Darren satisfied. Rob, what'd you think?
Pretty awesome. Called it. Figured. I think in our very first show, said Vegas, Edmonton were going to be in front of us. We would finish 3rd and be in the playoffs. Vegas took a dump for us. Didn't see how great Calgary was going to be. Should have known with Daryl Sutter, right? But very, very pleased with the outcome and very, very satisfied for sure.
Joe, what did you think?
Well, obviously I was very happy because I thought the Kings were not going to be a good team this year. So pardon my voice. Yeah, under the weather right now. No COVID. Not that matters. But yeah, no, I was super stoked. I was pretty confident they were gonna make it, but yeah, absolutely stoked. And now that they're in the playoffs, I truly don't care if they win another game, but I would love if they beat the Oilers. It'll make my heart so warm to torture another fan base that deserves to be tortured.
Right. Well, before we talk about the Kings versus Oilers in round 1, let's take a moment to talk about the pending retirement of Dustin Brown, who, in my opinion, best Kings captain of all time. Joe, what do you think? What did you think when you heard the news?
I was caught off guard because I don't really pay that close attention to all these matters these days, but not surprised either. And yeah, I agree with you. I don't know how anybody would disagree with that assessment. I mean, yeah, he was. It's awesome that the Kings have. He's going to be the first of him, Doughty, and Quick, presumably all getting their numbers retired, and hopefully the other 2 will finish their careers with the Kings too. But not surprised that he finished his career with the Kings. But also, there's no question that, yeah, he's the best Kings captain by far. I mean, there's no argument. I mean, Dave Taylor's great before my time, sort of. I was going to games at the end of his career, but he brought the Stanley Cup home twice, and he was not only did they bring the Cup home twice with him, being the captain. He was instrumental, in both runs. Primarily the first one, but yeah, in both of them, he was he was definitely leading. So
I mean, unlike you guys, I didn't become a Kings fan until about 2010. Mike, kind of dragged me to a couple games, and one of the first games I went to was the hat trick that Dustin Brown scored against Vancouver and just destroyed it. And I think, was a huge fan ever since then. And he led us to 2 cups. I mean, basically single-handedly broke the Sedins in that Vancouver series, and we'll always remember him lifting those cups and passing them on to the rest of the boys. So I think he's definitely the best captain the Kings have ever had. And I mean, I think someone put on Reddit that it's nice to not have to worry about him possibly even wearing another jersey, to know that he's going to end his time as a Kings. Like that's great. So
Did you say 2010?
yep.
So you were only a Kings fan for 2 years and then win the cup 2 years later. That must be nice. That must be nice. All right, to Dustin Brown's number 1 fan of all time, Rob. What'd you think?
Well, it's kind of funny the way he said that right there, that we don't have to worry about him wearing another jersey, but it just goes to speak to his character and why he's such a great captain, and why we were all truly blessed to have him part of the organization. I would like to sit here and throw out a little hypothetical. He's on an East Coast team, or better yet, Toronto. Let's just straight out say Toronto. If he's a Toronto Maple Leaf and he is the only American captain to hoist the cup more than one time in the history of the game, there's no other American captain that has ever won two cups. Scored over 20 goals in 7 different seasons. Played 1,300 games, all for the Leafs, and is just the general badass that he is. The way he plays the game lights people up. Never have to worry about his work ethic. Never have to worry about any kind of drama outside of anything. When stuff goes a little sideways, it's taken care of inside. You never hear a whisper of anything negative about the guy. Put him in a Toronto Maple Leaf jersey. I think people out there are talking Hall of Fame. I don't think he's a Hall of Fame player.
First ballot. First ballot.
But that's the bias we are always fighting out here, because that's what he did. He hoisted the cup twice for us. He scored over 20 goals, 7 seasons. He played 1,300 games. He is a badass of all, but he is a power forward, a true power forward. Plays the game the right way, and all we get is he was a borderline dirty player and had a good career. It's just a little footnote and shove him on his way. When he's a great player. So
I felt like when he lifted that cup for the first time in 2012, we were all there with him lifting that cup. Such a good feeling.
Quick side note against Dustin Brown too. Something that I found surprising. He never had 100 penalty minutes. For being labeled borderline dirty, you would swear he's had over 100 penalty minutes in a season. Maybe just wires crossed a couple times during a season, get some misconducts, and nope, he's never even sniffed 100 penalty minutes in a season. He was
suspended.
Clean.
He was only suspended once, right? If I remember correctly.
I believe only once.
And it was on the same hit that like Marchand did to Anderson, right? Wasn't it something similar?
I don't remember.
No,
correctly.
because when Marchand does it, it's on purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But like I said, just played the game right. He's
100%.
my guy. He's my guy.
He's my guy too.
Yep. And all the people, it's making me sick. All the haters out there that have been so critical of him. And these are the same people. Oh, he's my captain. He's my captain. Oh, you. He wasn't your captain 20 days ago. He was a detriment in the hope he ships off. That's what everyone was saying. You guys.
Well, I was saying that too. Not in those words, but I mean the game passed him by. I mean,
no, there's ways to say it, Joe. There-
This is
there's-
the right decision. Like, and
Right.
kudos to him to like not stretch it any further. I have
yeah.
no,
Would you expect anything else from a classy guy?
Yeah, no, agreed. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't have any bad feelings about him at all. But like at the same time, like he's definitely warranted criticism for sure. Right? I mean,
Well,
I think like Rob said, there's ways to do it. I mean, the guy was still our, I think, 8th leading scorer for this season. Like he was not a bum this season. I think there was times where he looked off and you wish they would go a little bit more game managey with him. But like, even still without that, he was still one of our more productive players and he still belonged now. And I think he's right at that cusp of, when he should get in or out.
Yeah.
And
with him and I follow playing on that third line, those last few games, I thought that's the place where if that's going to stay the line in the playoffs, he's going to thrive there, going out there third line minutes and just as Kopitar said, going to go shit up.
do you think the injury he got? I don't even know what it was. I think it was like a hand injury.
He lost the
But
tip of his
what-
finger.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I remember hearing that in the broadcast.
He almost lost it. They were able to save it.
So do you think that was like the tipping point where he decided to retire? Or
No pun intended, right, Joe?
Yeah, fair enough. I'm not that witty right now, so. But yeah, no, I'm just curious. I just had that thought. Like, do you
I think
what pushed him over the edge? Like,
I think he's just the ultimate team guy, and he knows the way he's playing now. He doesn't want to hurt the team. That's part of what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking whether that happened or not, he would
it's
still,
pretty bad for him.
yeah, he would,
I didn't watch his press conference and all the pomp and circumstances that the things they were throwing for him afterwards and all that stuff. I didn't want to watch.
You can tell the truth. You can tell the truth. You just didn't want to cry on the middle.
No,
of the
that's exactly what
I
was
try to
getting
watch
at.
it. I try to watch
was
it, and
getting
everybody
to this.
around me started chopping onions.
The
I don't know
reason
what
why I
was
didn't
happening.
watch it, I didn't want to. I didn't want to have red puffy eyes the whole weekend.
I made the mistake of watching it.
Yeah,
But
it was
I
good.
did see one little blurb about it. He was talking about his kid, and I'd imagine
I think
that
what
has
he,
a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I think what he said along the lines of like he thinks he could still do it physically, but it's a lot of the mental stuff that he's not sure if he's 100% engaged mentally because of how old his kids are now, and he wants to be there for them. And
He heard his kid
crazy.
talking about him leaving on a road trip,
yeah,
Right.
and he heard his kid be kind of bummed out about it, and it wears on you.
for sure.
How badass is it though to lead the league in hits by far for so many years and still be able to play 18 years? Freaking amazing.
Yep. The only thing I wish he would have done is I wish he would have announced it before the Anaheim game at home, just so the fans could have properly sent him off in a regular season game. I know we still have some playoff games, but those are different. But
He addressed that. He said he wanted to do that. And
I know he wanted to, but
speaking of that, Rob has had a lot of encounters with Vancouver fans. Were you surprised at the reception that Dustin Brown got when he played his last game in Vancouver?
Yeah, I was a little miffed by it. Are people kind of forced to be classy now? Like, hey, if we don't acknowledge an in-division long-time rival at his end, does that make us look a little? And I was okay with either or. I mean, if they didn't acknowledge him, I wouldn't have blinked twice about it, because
Right, after what he did to them?
after he's kind of part of that whole thing, right?
Right.
So I wouldn't have cared if they sat there and said, no, hey, if they all just would have waved to him, but
Right.
they gave him a nice little warm
Yeah.
goodbye there. And like I said, he's 18 years. All 18 years, Vancouver's been in the division. I would have to check that, but
Yeah, I think so.
when you're that type of foe, you kind of acknowledge. I would have been okay not sending off Getzlaf. I truly hate Getzlaf. I don't care.
As much as I don't like Getzlaf, he's just not at the level for me as Perry and Bozeman. Those are
those
are my
two
two
worst, yeah.
hated Ducks that over
Agreed.
everybody. I just hate them. But
Agreed. As far as Getzlaff, like on a personal level, whatever, great guy, sure. Wave hi to him as a person, but he's wearing a Ducks uniform. I don't need to feel happy feely. Hey, let's all be classy. All that stuff. It's the Ducks. I can't stand the Ducks.
yeah, that's for San Diego. They can be classy.
Yeah.
All right, Kings fans, the moment you've been waiting for. LA Kings versus the Oilers, round 1, Stanley Cup playoffs, game 1, Monday night. Darren, start us off. What do you think about this series?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a fun one. We get to watch how the Kings are gonna try and shut down McDavid, and I think it's gonna be a battle of some older goaltenders. Matchup of 2012, Quick versus Smith. There, I think that'll be a fun kind of. They both play kind of differing styles than most of the guys who are coming up now. They're very athletic. Smith plays the puck a ton, so that's kind of a fun aspect of the series. And then obviously it's gonna be fun as a Kings fan seeing how the kids respond to playing in the playoffs. Like, how is it going to be too much for them? Did they finally get Jersey a smaller chain? All that kind of stuff. So I think those are the three things that I think are going to be fun to watch in this series for sure. So,
Rob, what do you think?
Well, I don't think we have a chance. You got McDavid and Draisaitl, 123 points, 110 points. Just, it's not by accident. They're absolutely phenomenal. Everybody and their mother isn't giving us a chance. It's going to be Oilers in 5, probably. But let's see what Danault does. Let's see if Kopitar can flip a switch a bit. It will come down to their play. And it sucks to put it on just 2 people, but
when the other team only has 2 people.
Yeah, there are centers. There are guys that we paid the money to, and it's on them. It is on Kopitar and Danault to keep those guys in check. If Kopitar and Danault keep those 2 guys in check, we have a chance. We really do, because our goaltending is better than their goaltending. Our defense is better than their defense. So,
but their offense is just so much better than our offense. And it's kind of sobering to see that their top scorer has twice as many points as our top scorer. I mean, it's not even close. It's not even close. But yeah, that's what we got to do.
And the saving grace of it all is power plays aren't called as much in the playoffs, whether you like it or not. It is a different standard of play. So special teams become it's kind of weird. It's one of those double-sided things. They're not as important because they don't happen as much, but because they don't happen as much, they kind of become magnified a little bit. So,
and that goes both ways for the Kings. We don't want the power play or the penalty kill. So
yeah. So more 5-on-5 hockey that's played,
absolutely,
the better for us and the better chance we have.
Absolutely, sure. Right there. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm kind of surprised you guys aren't giving Kings more of a chance here, because I don't, by any measure, think that they're going to win the series easily. But they definitely have a chance. I think they have a good chance. And the biggest factor here is, like, just dial it back to 2012 in Vancouver. It's a little bit different. Vancouver won the President's Trophy in 2011, I think, from my memory. And then in 2012, and the Kings had also played them in the playoffs, I think the year or 2 before that, where the Kings pushed them to I think they went to like 6 games, if I'm not mistaken. Whatever. Bottom line is, if it turns into a war of attrition, that's how the Kings win the series. Is if it turns into the basically like a different version of the Kings of 2012 through 2014, where they just play stifling defense, which they do as a team, um, in a different way. I think these days, they're not as heavy on the boards and that sort of thing. Um, I put it this way: I think it's very easy for the Kings to come out and get shelled in the first two games and then just put their tail between their legs, but they haven't done that the whole season. So I will predict that one, it's hopefully not going to be a short series. And if it does, it's going to Kings. But I think that's very optimistic to view the Kings winning in less than like 6 games. Do I think the Kings are going to win? I don't know. But I think that Edmonton has all the pressure in the world on them, and if that gets exploited, if the Kings come out and win one of the first two games, something happens, a la Dustin Brown hitting was it Henrik Sedin in Vancouver? That was in 2012,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So something along those lines happens. Sorry. Then I think all bets are off. Who knows? If I were a betting man, I would bet on the Kings just because I'm a gambler, and there's probably some juice there, and there's actually a shot that they'll beat them. If they get their asses smoked, I won't be surprised either.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
Absolutely, there's a chance.
So,
And I'll go on record as saying if they do beat them, it will be my Stanley Cup for the last 10 years or whatever, 8 years since they won it the last time.
How's this?
Just watching the Canadian media
Yep.
and just the fan base blow up will make my heart warm. I'm not a hater, but it'll make my heart warm.
I might get banned from quite a few Twitter accounts if the Kings win this series. There's going to be a whole lot of coming everyone's way if the Kings win this series. There's going to be I'm going to troll as many of the national outlets as I can with, hey, didn't you say Vancouver's still better than us? Isn't Vegas still better than us? Just all the crap that's being said, all the disrespect that's going on. If the Kings win this series, I'm going to go absolutely nuts.
well, if that's the case, let's hope you get banned.
Yes.
I don't pay attention to any of that stuff. There is a thing, upsetting Canadian franchise. Just the hysteria that ensues after that. I like a good train wreck. So if the team that I like can facilitate that, boom. Yeah.
So call it now. If the Kings win, will there be a riot in Edmonton?
I don't think so. I hope not.
Vancouver, there would be for sure. But
Yeah, I think Edmonton expects it at this point. So
good point. Hey Joe, I see what you're saying, comparing them to the 2012 team, except for that 2012 team was full of veterans and lots of playoff experience. And
I'm not comparing them like that. I'm comparing just in terms of you have more from the angle of you have the opponent has tons of pressure on them. The Kings have everything to gain, nothing to lose, versus the opponent has everything to lose and little to gain other than, that's what you were expected to do. So the Kings, from that perspective, are in the catbird seat. If they lose in 4 games, they go home. None of us are going to cry about it.
I mean, and that works for our favor in like the psychological sense of, these guys have been kind of dumpstered the last 2 playoffs, and if we can win, like Joe said, we can win one of those first 2 games and we can kind of stifle McDavid and Draisaitl. Like that can get in their heads and they can kind of grip it a little tighter, and that can make the series easy for us to win, So
does anybody have Tanya Harding's phone number? Maybe do a
not
meet and greet with
Your
McDavid.
Her husband would probably be more relevant, but
All right,
I don't.
let's talk about the Kings lines. So, pretty sure. Let's start with the first line. I'm pretty sure they're gonna go Kopitar, Kempe, and who?
Athanasiu.
So everybody agree on that? All right. Second line,
I don't think it's too long.
they're gonna stick with Dano, Arvidsson, Moore on that second line. I think we can all agree on that, right? So,
Absolutely on that one. Yes, that's one line that I know exists.
all right, Darren. So tell us, what are they gonna do on line 3, game 1?
I think
Hopefully,
think that-
Grundstrom's on there.
I don't think Grunstrom's on line 3. I think it's going to be that Iafallo, Lazat, Brown line. I think they liked that the last 5 weeks or 5 games. Sorry, and I think with how I don't want to say poorly Lemieux played, but unimpactful Lemieux played over the last few games. I'm not sure if he's going to draw in to some of these playoff games because we don't necessarily need like the enforcer type. And I think
I'm gonna say it's the playoffs. He'll be in there. That's what I'm saying.
maybe, but I think you could. I mean, we could jump ahead to the fourth line. I think he's going to rotate with a couple of the kids there. So
For sure.
but
you need that physical play in the playoffs,
100%.
and I think they'll at least start with him in there. But,
can see that.
Rob, what do you think? Line 3.
Yeah, it'll be I follow Lazat Brown,
Yeah, I'm thinking the same.
which leaves round line 4. I think they're gonna go Byfield, Kelly of Grunstrom.
Get those kids experience.
It's a fourth line situation.
You don't
Yeah,
see
why
them.
not?
You don't see them putting Velarde in there.
See,
on
and
my-
that now see to start. I'm just saying the first game. This is what it is, and I expect Velarde and Lemieux to rotate in on that fourth line. That where they'll take out. It doesn't matter who they take out, but
the only thing I wonder is Velarde has been. I think he's scored 2 goals and had an assist or 2 over the last 3 or 4 games. So I wonder if that plays into the hot hand kind of thing that McClellan
Right.
likes. So maybe they go. I mean, they could go Kaliyev, Velarde, Byfield, but I think they do want that physical guy there, like Rod and Rob were saying. So
Or do we roll the 5 lines like Rob's been talking about, and just have 2 D lines,
and have that fifth line Kupari, Lemieux, and Velarde.
right? Joe, what do you think?
Well, I'm totally on board with Lazat being the center of one of those 2 lines.
yeah.
And beyond that, I don't. Grunstrom, give me some Grunstrom.
I think we all know they want to get Byfield some playoff experience, so he's for sure he's going to be the center on that 4th line for sure.
Okay, so he's the one who's been
And
playing.
I'm on board for all of that too. By the way, just regardless of outcome of the series, I'm on board for this is part of the rebuild. This is part of the growing, and it's important for these young kids to get some of this experience as an organization moving forward. So,
Yep.
I like Byfield. Byfield's played better the last couple weeks for sure. And then what's his name? I do like Kupari also. I feel like we need a little bit more Kupari.
He's such an enigma. You can tell from his first shift whether he's going to have an amazing game or he's just going to have a quiet game. It's really
That's
weird.
kind of a good thing, though. It's kind of a good thing, though, right? He's got something in there that he just doesn't know it's there.
when he bangs it around, he's a different player because he's big and fast.
Right.
And when he throws the body a little bit,
I feel like Grunstrom and him are somewhat similar. I think Kupari's got a higher top end skill set than Grunstrom, but Grunstrom's doing and I think correct me if I'm wrong, I think Grunstrom's older than him. That's probably part of the reason why, but
Yeah.
Grunstrom goes out. The reason I'm an advocate of him, he goes out there is doing the things that you would think that the coach be receptive to. It was kind of head scratching to me that a guy is doing what if say Daryl Sutter was still the coach, it'd be he's banging in the corners, coming out with pucks, going full bore. I don't know, but whatever. Yeah, I'll shut up.
Grundstrom would be like a first or second line player under Sutter for sure.
He'd be
if Dwight King-
He'd be opposite Trevor Lewis on the same line.
Yeah.
And,
All right, Rod.
and maybe he might have progressed more. I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see what happens, though. Like if the Kings move on from him and he goes somewhere else and becomes something, because I don't think he's going to be a player that's going to be like a 30, 40 goal scorer, but I think he could be easily a 20 goal scorer and a key contributor, like with all the elements he brings to the table. The physicality, all that stuff. I think, in my opinion, is a player that's not somebody that you just kind of look over, but whatever.
All right, Rodney, I got a question for you.
Yep.
Spence and Moverari have played as well as rookies can play. Have they played well enough to pull Bjorn Foot out of the playoff lineup?
Possibly yes on Moverari. My hopes that Spence would get some playing time were kind of killed in the last few games of the season where coach never put him in. So I think he's going to be strictly reserved in the playoffs, even though we could use his size, But Moverari, he's got the size. I think he's a little bit ahead of Bjornfoot, which nobody really saw coming into this season, but he's just like a steady, calming influence, and I could see him getting some playing time.
So what makes it a little weird is Bjornfoot in the lineup would probably have to play on the right side.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, so Moverari being left-handed, would also have to play the wrong side, which makes it a little easier to say, well, why not just play Spence there? Especially if it's going to be on the third pairing. I don't know. It's going to be interesting what he does moving forward. But
there's a lot of questions. Did they bring Stetcher in just for the end of the season, or do they want to play him with Edler in the playoffs? I mean, I'd prefer probably not from what I'm seen.
Thinking Stetcher was a total experiment, a shot in the dark. Hey, we need him to fill some holes so we can make the playoffs.
Yep.
And
I think he was a low asset grab that, if he worked out, great. And if he filled in for what he played 10 games, maybe, like, great. You know what I mean? Yep. We lost a 7th round pick for a guy who played 10 games. I think he
could also just take a stick out in the opening faceoff of the first game and just whack McDavid right in the face.
The Tanya Harding that we're talking about, right?
And just, he took one for the team. Good for you. And I'd probably buy his jersey. No, I'm joking. That's a joke. That's a joke.
No, it's not.
I mean, to me, I think there's 5 defensemen who are probably, I don't want to say locked in, but basically locked in. You got Roy, maybe Anderson as a pair. I don't know about pairings, but Roy, Anderson, Jersey, Edler, and Mata. And then I think it's that 6th spot. And it, like Rob said, it's on the right side. So it's, in my opinion, it's Spence. But I could see Bjornfoot drawing in a game or two, depending on how the series goes.
If you look at the minutes they're giving Spence, I think Spence is that second D pairing. More above Jersey for sure.
For sure. I mean, he's been better this season. I mean, after like his first game when he kind of was, you could see the yips kind of in there, and then after that, I think he's been steady defensively and better than average offensively. So,
and I know you guys are big Jersey fans, but you guys do notice that he fans on the shot a lot, has a really, really weak shot, and still gets beat on the outside a lot. Is anybody else noticing that besides me?
No, I think you're right.
I know Rob's a big Jersey fan, so he probably doesn't notice that kind of stuff. He's probably blind to that kind of stuff, but yeah, that kind of stuff could hurt us in the playoffs. So yeah, we do need him. We need what he brings offensively, but I'm thinking third pairing.
We have 100 subscribers now. Woohoo! We need to take a picture with balloons with the 100 behind us, like they do on
That's
OnlyFans
right.
and stuff. Whatnot.
Over 100 subscribers. Not bad for a
And
few months.
I wonder if they're all just confused when you sit there and say all the time, Rob's favorite player.
If they've been watching since the beginning, they're not confused.
Okay.
But
It's like one person, by the way.
Right. No. Well, 17 of those subscribers is me. All my different devices and different names and emails and stuff. So
that does make
Kids'
sense.
accounts and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think we have to get to like 122 followers before we actually get to officially 100.
Well, I don't know. How many burner accounts do you have, Darren?
I don't want to talk about it. I can't talk about it legally.
That's right. All right, so I think we got defense squared away. It's just going to be between, does Toby get in there?
Yeah, I mean, and there's definitely a chance where, like, if we're down like 0-2 or something, they could throw Mata out and say, okay, we're gonna let Bjornfoot in a couple games just to get the kids in there. So,
Right. Or does Edler slow down and we have to pull him out of the playoffs? I know when he first started playing this year, he looked amazing, but hasn't looked as good the last few games. A little slow. So
Joe, is it even worth asking about the goaltending? We all know quick. It's quick, and it's quick.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah,
single game.
quick or bust.
They'll only go with quick until there's a reason not to. I mean, if quick gets blown up the first two games, like if it's his fault that they lose the games, like not one goal, bad play on the puck or something like that. Absolutely, you got to stick with him.
So listening to Oilers fans and going through some of their forums,
I'm waiting for my meltdown. That's what I'm hoping for.
so the one thing the Oilers are worried about with us, they're worried about quick mainly, and also about the Kings checking, but they're not worried about our offense at all. I don't know why. We have an amazing offense. It doesn't make any sense, but
Trevor Moore.
and that's-
Trevor Moore doesn't scare him.
That's what I'm waiting. I'm waiting. This is how things can turn. A turnover by their horrendous defense, and then a bad goal by their old goalie.
Right.
And then the doubt starts to creep in, because I have seen McDavid go total bitch prima donna mode. You see the shoulder shrug, you see the, oh my God, I can't believe, and that's all it's going to take. And shit just starts going sideways. And then you just can't stop it.
Yep.
So,
Well, I think the X factor with like what I was getting into earlier when we first started talking about this, the Kings are in a playoff spot purely by winning games, playing 5-on-5 hockey, and now you're in a space where that's predominantly what you're going to be playing. You're in special teams are a factor still, but they're less of a factor. So just that alone, that I don't think like a lot of like the media or whatever, like fan people, if you go to message boards and stuff like that, I don't think people really like, take that into consideration. The Kings got to this place, got to the playoffs because they can score 5-on-5 and they can prevent goals 5-on-5.
Agreed.
So,
and that's why I think the Kings do have a chance of winning the series. I just don't think it's a good chance. But because they're 5-on-5 play, if they can stay off the special teams completely, power play or penalty kill is the best option for us. And great goaltending. You guys want to talk about any of the other series?
Minnesota St. Louis is going to be kind of unfair that someone has to lose. Speaking of saying unfair that someone has to lose, there's 8 teams that are going to lose. And unfair or not, there's going to be, it's as far as everyone talks about the East being so great, 4 teams are going to lose. So say the Kings, this is what I wanted to talk about. The Kings are going to be shitty, and they're going to lose the first round, and everyone's going to sit there and say, see, told you it was a layup, told you Kings are shitty, blah, blah, blah. Well, are you going to say that about all 8 teams that lose in the first round? Because St. Louis and Minnesota, someone has to lose there, and those are 2 really good teams. I believe it's Tampa Bay, Toronto.
Yep.
Right.
That's another good one.
That's another good one.
So,
for sure.
so God's gift, Maple Leafs, if they lose, are they shitty?
Hey, they get
Or
the same excuse as the Kings,
Yeah, the 2-time Stanley Cup champions, if they lose, are they shitty? So that's it. It just frustrates the hell out of me that people still just don't respect the fact that the Kings made the playoffs literally with one of their arms chopped off with all the injuries. And they just won't respect the fact that we're a pretty good team, regardless of what happens in this first round, because there's going to be a lot of good teams that are going to lose. And if we lose, we're a good team. That's all. Just say it. The Kings are a good team, and they lost in the first round to a team that has the 2 best players in the planet. So I know there's a lot of good matchups out there that are going to happen, and there's going to be some teams that have had great seasons that are going home after a week and a half.
And I'll care about them once the Kings lose in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But not to beat a dead horse, I just don't give a shit what people say about it. Doesn't matter to me. Like, the Kings suck, this, that. I just want them.
Rob does, and he keeps receipts. We found out today.
Yes,
so.
it matters. It matters to me, Joe. Yes, and I take names and I write shit down and I go back and look.
I appreciate your passion. Absolutely do. Like I said, I lost that when they won the second time for sure, the Kings. And I also thought I divested myself of being a hater. But I will take pleasure in watching the Edmonton Oilers lose in the first round and the Maple Leafs, just because I guess I still am a hater. So
and I'll throw one other hatred out there. The 3 teams I would love to see lose the most: the Maple Leafs, the Oilers, and the Avalanche.
Oh,
I think Joe would agree with you on the Avalanche.
Off the bat.
Well, the Avalanche are probably going to win the Stanley Cup after the game I went to. I mean, that was definitely a clinic that was going on. I don't think I've ever been to a hockey game that was so mismatched. After the second goal, I was like, this looks like a minor league team playing a professional team.
It almost was, though.
I want to leave, but I'll never leave a game. I paid $100 to be there. But so we sat through it, and then 10 minutes in, they're down 4-0. I'm like, the McKinnon guy, like, I don't really have like much feelings about him. Like, it kind of like used to annoy me, but big dude with like tons of skill and
so fast.
Yeah, he just flies.
He's a man rocket.
Yep.
Or as Jim Fox would say, he's a big body.
I mean, dude, when you're watching it in person, like,
and those types of things,
it looks like silly. Like, he's just like, oh, he's just doing a couple like stick handles, but then the guy's jock straps right there. It's like nothing even like that fancy. He's not like putting in between the guy's legs. It's just like a couple of shoulder fakes,
right,
and boom, he's gone. Like, it's like a cartoon. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And he's not even the best player on the team. That's what's scary.
Who is the best player?
Makar. Okay, I got some questions before we get away from this. We're gonna go around. I want you to tell me who you're rooting for in the East, and if the Kings get bounced, who are you rooting for in the West? Rodney, we'll start with you.
I don't really care about the East, other than there's a couple teams I don't want to win. So I'm gonna say something random. Let's go with the Panthers. I don't really care. Let's go with the Panthers.
If we get bounced, who are you rooting for in the West?
If we get bounced, I would go with let's go for the underdog. Let's go Predators. Let's go Nashville.
Wow. Joe, who you got in the East?
I'd say the Wild. cool with that. Nashville is because I've had 2 good experiences at their arena. And other than that, I'll go with Carolina. I like Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah,
How about you, Darren?
I think I have the same 2 answers as Joe. The Hurricanes, I like their style of play, and then the Wild as well. I think, you know, I can't really see myself rooting for like the Blues or, you know, I don't want to root for the Avalanche. So
Yeah, agreed.
no one for the Pacific. So that kind of eliminates a couple teams.
I will go with Florida, and Joe Thornton get his first Stanley Cup.
Nice.
Would be a nice little storyline. And I'll root for my boy Daryl Sutter in Calgary.
That's a good point.
I'll go with that. I have no problem with the Calgary. I have no problem with Calgary winning.
Yep. And they got a couple Kings on there as well.
That's true.
With Daryl.
Once a king, always a king.
Yeah. But all that is just fantasy land because the Kings are going to win it all, baby.
Ain't that right, Darren?
Oh, yeah. I got a bet on it. So, you know.
Straight
Let's give
out
one.
prediction?
Yeah, let's give a prediction for the
Okay.
Kings.
Okay, I'll start. I say I'm gonna say Oilers in 6, and I'm really hoping I'm wrong about that, and I hope the Kings win. Darren,
I'll say Kings in 6. I think we kind of punch them in the mouth, and I think we can do it. I really do.
Joe?
I'll take Kings in 6.
nice. Rob,
Kings in 5.
nice.
See, I knew it was a bait and
All
switch
right.
the whole time.
All right.
The whole time.
All right, Kings fans, that's all we have for today. Hopefully, the next time we talk, Kings will have a couple playoff wins under their belt. Until next time, go Kings, go!
Go Kings.
Kings.